Hello everyone and welcome to this lecture. I'm super excited because in this lecture we're going to discuss the conditional statements, which is what we call it if-else statements. They are really powerful and they are kind of the foundation or the basic building block of any programming language. All right. So let's recap what we have done before. In the previous section we covered the logical operators, and we covered as well what we call it the comparison operators. And in this section, we're going to cover the conditional statements, which we'll call it if-else statements. Let's assume that we wanted to divide our code, okay, kind of into two sections, or we'll call it two different path lines, all right? Let's assume that I wanted to, for example, compare the value of, let's say, number 5, and number 2. So I'm going to do that comparison like this. I'm going to say, okay, if, and that's how we write the if condition. I'm asking if 5 is greater than 2, okay? And then in order to write the if condition, we put colon in here, and then we press enter, and you will see that simply here that has been indented. That means, you know, like there is kind of a space in here. And here we actually write the body of the if condition, okay? And that's the beauty of Python. You don't need to put like, you know, like brackets or curly brackets or, you know, like C or any other programming language, which is really tough to, like, I don't want to say tough, but it's way more complex than Python. Python is very intuitive, very easy. So let's assume that I wanted to compare. If 5 is greater than 2, I want to go ahead and do something. And then I'm going to say, okay, else, if that condition is not true, let's do something different. Okay. So here I'm asking, if 5 is greater than 2, I'm going to say, okay, print, and I'm going to say print true. All right? Okay, so I wanted to print on the screen true if this condition is true. All right? Okay, looks great. And what I'm going to do here, I have to go back. Please make sure that when you write the if-else statement, that the if and the else have to be aligned here. And the body of the if has to be shifted a little bit. So here I'm going to write, okay, else, and please don't forget the colon, press enter, and you will find that simply the body of the if and the body of the else will going to be aligned here. I'm going to say, okay, print, and I'm going to print false. All right, that's it. So simply put, what we have done here is really powerful. Okay, it looks pretty easy, but it's actually very powerful. Why it's powerful? It's really powerful because now I actually created kind of, you know, like two paths within my code. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to split my code into two sections. This section, which is the body of the if, and this section, which is body of the else. Which means that if, for example, here, if I compare 5 compared to 2, I'm going to say, okay, is 5 greater than 2? Well, that condition is going to turn true, right? So if the if condition is true, then we're going to execute this command, and that's it. And that's the beauty of it. We're not going to execute this. We're not going to go to the else, ever. We're just going to execute the body of the if condition if the if condition is true. All right? What if this condition is false? If this condition is false, we're actually going to skip this and only perform the body of the else, or execute the body of the else, which is the beauty of, you know, if-else condition. All right, let's run that. And you will find that, you know, simply here, we printed true on the screen, okay? So why is that? You know, like what happened? So simply put, because 5 is greater than 2, which is this condition was true, we actually implemented this, and that's it. We didn't basically implement the else portion of it. All right. Let's take a look at, again, pretty much the exact same example. I'm just gonna copy it here. And let's print, for example, something different. Let's say, okay, if condition is true, I'm going to say here, for example, if condition is false. All right. Okay, let's run that. And that makes sense. So basically here we said, okay, if 5 is greater than 2, let's go ahead and basically execute the body of the if. And that's what we have got here. If not, let's go and execute the else condition. All right. So, okay, sounds great. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to leave you guys for a quick challenge. Here, I'm going to compare. Actually, going to compare this. And I'm asking you guys, without running the code, please let me know which one will going to be executed. if this one is going to be executed or this one will going to be executed. Please go ahead and pause the video and see you guys after the challenge. All right, I hope you guys were able to figure out the challenge yourself. Here, simply I'm asking, is 5 equals to 10 or not? Okay, well, 5 is actually not equal to 10, which means that I cannot or I will not gonna execute the body of the if. I'm gonna go back to the else here. I'm gonna execute the else part, which is, well, if condition is actually false. All right, let's run that, and that's what I've got here, which makes sense. Why? Because the if condition or this condition actually failed, or wasn't true. So we went there and we executed the else body only, and that's why we executed if condition is false. All right. Let's take a look at kind of a little bit more advanced concept when it comes to if-else conditions, which is what we call it else-if. Okay. Let's assume that I wanted, for example, to compare, let's say, or have 3 different paths within my code. So instead of having 2 different paths, I wanted to have 3 different paths. Let's do this. I'm going to say, okay, if 5 is equals to 7, okay, colon, I wanted to go ahead and print, let's say, first statement is true, okay? And here, and that's the beauty of it, since I wanted to create kind of 3 different paths, I cannot just go and write else. I actually wanted to import or insert another else if condition. So I'm going to say, okay, to write this, I'm going to call it else if. And we actually combine it in just elif. And you guys can see that here it's turned to green, okay, which is kind of reserved keyword for Python. I'm going to say, okay, elif 2 equals to 4, for instance, just any numbers. I'm going to press enter. And here we're going to say, okay, print second statement is true, okay? And the else, which is if none of these conditions were true, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and print, let's say the last statement is true. All right. Okay, so what do you guys expect? Okay, without running the code, here I'm asking, is 5 equals to 7? Well, that was false, so I'm going to skip this, right? I'm going to come here, I'm going to have another if condition. Here I'm asking, is 2 equals to 4? Well, that wasn't true. So I'm going to go ahead here and execute this, which is the last statement is true. Let's run that, and that's actually what we have got here. Last statement is true. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and leave you guys as well for a quick challenge. Okay, I'm going to say, okay, let's copy that. Let's paste it. And here we're going to compare is less than. Here we're going to say greater than, and that's it. Okay, please go ahead, guys, and pause the video, and please do not run the cell. Just tell me which one do you expect will going to be executed. Please go ahead and see you guys after the challenge. All right, I hope you guys were able to figure out the challenge yourself. So here I'm asking if 5 less than 7, well, that condition was actually true, right? So here I'll simply gonna execute the first one. So let's run it, and the first one we're gonna be executed. So first statement is actually true. All right, makes complete sense. Let's take a look at one last example before we jump into the exercises section. So here I'm saying, okay, let's, for example, insert, let's assume that we wanted to build kind of our password system. So we're gonna grant access to the user if they enter the password successfully. All right, so let's see how can we do that. We're gonna say, okay, name equals to, which is our variable, input, in order to feed data from the user, I'm gonna print to the screen, enter your username. All right. So here simply I'm asking the user to enter their username, and if the username was right or was correct, without password or anything, just if the username was right, I was just gonna give them access. If it's wrong, then I'm not gonna give him access. That's pretty much it. And the username that we're gonna use here is, let's say, you can pick whatever name. here I've just selected, for example, like my name, for instance. I'm going to say, okay, if here I'm comparing simply, and that's why we use the if condition, because we wanted to have, we have two options within our code. We have either to grant the user access or to deny him access. So I'm going to say, okay, if name equals to Ryan, okay, and please don't forget the colon. I'm going to say, okay, print, I'm going to say access granted. All right, I'm going to say here else, which is if not, I'm going to print access denied. All right, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Let's run that code. Let's run it. So here, when I press Shift Enter, you'll find that here is asking you enter your username. So you have to enter your username. So I'm going to say, okay, I will enter Ryan. And if I run it, you'll find, well, access granted. Why? Because this condition has been satisfied. I inserted value here, okay, and name has my name right now, has Ryan in there. And here I'm comparing is Ryan equals to Ryan. It will say yes, then we're going to get access granted. If not, then access is going to be denied. All right, let's run it one more time. I'm going to say enter your username. So I'm going to say RYAN, and please note that here I inserted all the values here were uppercase, right? If I run that, you'll find access denied. It will tell me no, access denied. Why? Because when you compare uppercase, all uppercase, with the only first letter is uppercase, actually the access will not going to be granted. These two strings are not the same. And that's why you get access denied in this case. All right. So I'm going to leave you guys for a quick challenge. It's might be a little bit tough. Here, I wanted to basically make the system a little bit more robust. Okay. I wanted to grant the user access if they enter their name like this, or if they inserted their name like this, which is RYAN, all uppercase, or if they inserted the name all lowercase, like RYAN, all lowercase. All right. So I'm going to leave you guys for that quick challenge. Please go ahead, pause the video, and I'll see you guys after the challenge. All right, I hope you guys were able to figure out the challenge yourself. So what I ask you guys to do here, let's copy this and let's paste it here. And I ask you guys to make the code kind of a little bit more robust in a way. And in order to add here, instead of having just R as uppercase and Ryan afterwards, I wanted you guys to add more conditions. So I'm going to say, okay, if name equals to Ryan, or, right, name was equals to all uppercase, right, or name was equals to all lowercase. So I'm saying, okay, if all of them are uppercase, or all of them are lowercase, or the first letter only with uppercase, and that the system will kind of be a little bit more robust. So, you know, like you can insert your username, whatever you feel like. Let's run that and let's make sure it actually works. So let's enter our username. Let's try our first one, which I've tried before. Will tell me, well, access granted. Let's run it one more time. I'm going to say, okay, RYAN, all uppercase. Let's run it. Tell me, well, access granted to. If you guys remember, when we did that before, it was access denied. Okay. Let's run one more time. Here I'm saying, okay, RYAN, all of them are lowercase. Let's run it. Tell me, well, access granted to. Okay. All right, let's run it. And for example, insert, let's say Ryan 1, for instance. Let's run it. Then, well, access denied, which makes complete sense. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this lecture. Let's recap what we have done so far. In this section, we discussed how can we do conditional statements. So now we know how can we write if-else condition and kind of create, you know, kind of two paths within our code. Here we learned how can we do multiple if-else conditions like this one, which is having three, for example, cases in this case. And we learned as well how to kind of develop a more kind of advanced form into doing or creating a password or username access system. If the user inserts their access or username correct, we're going to give them access. If not, we're going to deny them access. And we learned here how can we produce the OR logical condition to actually apply more than one condition that might be true. We're going to give the user access. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that lecture. In the next lecture, we're gonna go ahead and start, like we have tons of exercises for you. Please stay tuned and see you guys in the next lecture.